Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, distinguished guests, fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to the organizer for giving me this opportunity to be in this session to deliver my speech on the topic of continuing education for children with special educational needs amidst COVID-19, the Malaysia experience. Today, we will be focusing on special educational needs students in Malaysia, exploring home-based learning for students with SEN during the pandemic, the role of parents in helping their children participate in the learning process, and also support services for students with SEN. Ladies and gentlemen, in Malaysia context, special education means education provided for students with special educational needs in special education schools, special education integrated program, and also inclusive education program. In special education schools, these schools, they are built specifically for students with SEN. So in this setting, a specific learning approach is introduced to cater to the teaching and learning of the students with SEN. Whereby in special education integrated program, it is an educational program for students with SEN. This means SEN student in a special class within the government or government-aided schools. And also for the IEP or Inclusive Education Program, it can be defined as an educational program for students with SEN who are enrolled together with other mainstream students in a government schools or government-aided schools. And as of 30th June 2020, there are 92,755 students with SEN in Malaysia. Out of this number, 1,363 students, they are in preschools, 51,268 students, they are in primary schools, and the remainder, 40,124 students, they are in the secondary schools. So ladies and gentlemen, with COVID-19 virus infection still rising, government throughout the world are still scrambling to adapt to and to adopt a condition leading to a new normal in their countries. So up to April 14, 2020, Malaysia has reported 2 waves of COVID-19 cases, in which with the first wave ending successfully within less than 2 months. But in early March 2020, the second wave occurred with worrying situation. So now Malaysia is seeing its third wave of the coronavirus epidemic, and it has been reporting 3-digit cases continuously since September 25th. So the education sector is one that has been most impacted by the pandemic. So taking into account the recommendation of the Health Ministry and the National Security Council in combating the spread of COVID-19, so the ministry is of the view that students must continue to remain at home. So to overcome this, the Malaysian Education Ministry has opted for the approach of online learning or e-learning with technology and devices as a mediator of communication to replace face-to-face learning. So this is currently the most popular alternative solution to contain the spread of COVID-19. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic challenge that is plaguing the world at the moment, so education for students with SEN must also continue. It is a big challenge actually for us in ensuring that access to education is provided and delivered in any situation. MOE priority is the health and safety of students, teachers, and everybody in the school throughout their stay in school. Healthcare and social distancing practices are very important in school management to prevent the spread of COVID-19 infection among students, teachers, and school staff. Therefore, to ensure the smooth management of school operation during the pandemic, MOE, they have issued several guidelines to ensure the State Education Department, District Education Office, and schools comply with the standard operating procedures and comply with instruction and advice issued by the National Security Council and Ministry of Health from time to time. So among the guidelines are school management and operation in new norms, preschool reopening, management of students with special educational needs, management of private education institution, and also the operation of surau, of the school surau. So for the management of students with SEN, the guideline on school management and operation in new norm is the main document, which is the main reference, followed by the guideline for the management of students with special educational needs. So other guidelines should also be read and referred, as it is applicable to all students, including students with SEN, to ensure the operation of the schools is implemented properly and according to the prescribed procedures. Ladies and gentlemen, this slide explains further on the implementation part of the management of students with SEN during the pandemic. In particular, it is divided into three, namely before the school reopen, at the school, home-based learning. Before school open, first, the most important thing is to be done by parents or guardian is to declare their children's health. Secondly, this is an indicator to determine the level of health and their self-care ability. And thirdly, to complete health declaration form, and they have to submit to the school 3 days before the school session begin. And fourthly, school administrators need to decide whether the particular SEN students can attend schools or otherwise. And for the classroom, the capacity of SEN in a classroom is not more than 7, depending on the size of the class, by taking into account the physical distancing. The maximum capacity is not more than 7 students. And school can apply method of rotating the presence of SEN students if the classroom cannot accommodate all the students at one go. So the furniture and other appliances, including special equipments that are not in use, should be stored or set aside to reduce contact. Now we move to the second part, that is at the school. At the school, the following actions are to be taken into consideration by the school. That is, the school need to arrange the work schedule of the student management assistant. Then SEN students who arrive at the school will be welcomed and brought to class by the assistant. So in other words, parents, guardians do not need to get out of their vehicles, and permission is only granted to parents or guardian to enter the school compound by vehicle if SEN student is unable to walk. And also, SEN student who is visually impaired, especially category B1, should use a white cane on arrival and at all time at school to avoid frequent contact with the handrail. And also the school has to arrange the arrival time of SEN students in stages, provide special route to SEN students' body temperature. Meaning to say, if the body temperature of MBK reaches 37.5% and above, the parents or the guardian need to take the children for treatment. And the school also must design drop-off point for SEN students who are sent by vehicles into the school compound. At school, we do focus on self-management, behavior management, implementation of teaching and learning session, and after that we do focus when they are going home, and also support services by Special Education Services Center. For the school management, the school should always remind SEN students to wash their hands with soap and water every time they use the toilet. Teachers and student assistants who are helping the SEN student should wear face masks and wash their hands with water and soap often. So for the behavior management, the school should isolate SEN students who have behavioral problems during school hours and be given appropriate behavior modification and intervention. Let's say if the situation is out of control, so the school need to contact the parents or the guardian to bring the SEND students home. And again, teachers and the school assistant who handle SEND students who have behavioral problem must wear face masks and wash their hands often with water and soap. At school, we do emphasize on the implementation and learning session, meaning to say that it is advisable that schools need to maintain the same teachers and school assistant for each class to avoid SEND students being exposed to more people. Teachers and students assistants who are directly involved with SEND students category B1, that is visual impairment, during the teaching and learning sessions should always wear a mask and also wash their hands with water and soap more often. Then for the IEP, that is individual education plans, need to be shared by teachers to parents or guardian to ensure learning and intervention can be implemented at home. And also the school should postpone any outdoor activities and therapeutic activities such as swimming and horseback riding. So now when it's time to go home, we need to say the going home part. What do they need to do? So the schools need to arrange SEND students' time to return from school to reduce the waiting time for parents or guardian and avoid congestion. And also teachers and students assistants accompany SEND students to the designated location during return time. Under the Ministry of Education, we do have support services by Special Education Services Centre. The Special Education Service Centre must comply with safety measures while providing therapy and intervention services to SEND students. And the SEND students who need therapy and intervention can make appointment and comply with the guidelines. Now we come to the third part of management of students with SEND during the pandemic, that is home-based learning. SEND students who cannot attend school due to health declaration or rotation will follow or will undergo home-based learning. How do we go with this home-based learning? First, the implementation of home-based learning for SEND students is depending on the ability of the particular SEND student with the support of parents or guardian. Secondly, the SEND students who are visually impaired, school can lend learning support equipment such as braille machines, slates, stylus, cuboidal sets, voice calculators, scientific calculators or craft papers. This learning support equipment must be taken by parents or guardian with the written permission of the school administrator. And also these SEND students that need maximum support can be supplied with activity pad that contains stimulus activities to enhance domain development. The ministry always strives to ensure that SEND students get knowledge and skill for the continuation of learning on next year. Therefore, curriculum alignment is implemented for all subjects are based on the existing curriculum except for Form 5 students. This alignment involves rearrangement content, pedagogy, and assessment to meet needs subject specific. The ministry provides learning access to SEND students through home-based learning according to the suitability of the students. Home-based learning is implemented through a digital learning platform known as Digital Education Learning Initiative Malaysia. That is, in short form, they call it the LIMA. Through this platform, SEND students and teachers can access applications such as Google Classroom and Google Meet, Microsoft 365, Apple Teachers Learning Center, digital textbook, teaching and learning videos, quizzes, and video game learning. In addition, parents can also access to our Edu Web TV and Cikgu Tube to assist in their child's learning at home. So, to help SEND students groups who do not have access to internet lines and devices suitable for online learning, home-based learning is also implemented through educational TV, broadcast, and delivery of learning materials to students by teachers. As you can see from the slide, these are some of the examples of learning materials that we have produced. We have 30 learning video materials specifically for hearing impairment students, both at primary and secondary level, that is 6 learning video materials, and also virtual library in every special education schools. So to make home-based learning more effective and suit to the new norm, the ministry has come up with home-based learning manual. So this home-based learning manual is implemented at home or community center or at any suitable location. It can be implemented either online, offline, or off-site in a structured and planned manner. So as such, a group, namely Academic Support Team, or in short we call AST, is established. So this AST consists of Education District Officers or appointed school teachers. What are the roles? The role of the AST is to help students accelerate their learning progress, catch up with their peers, meet learning standards, or generally succeed in the learning process. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is undeniable that parents also play important roles in helping their children learning at home. In other words, parents play a role as a proxy, which means that parents or guardians play a role in performing the duties of teachers in implementing home-based learning. Communication between teachers and parents can take place through WhatsApp, Telegram, Google Meet, and other suitable applications. To further strengthen parental understanding, proxy pedagogy was introduced. This pedagogy details about the art of teaching and managing SEN at home, depending on the category of SEN students, such as hearing impairment, visual impairment, learning difficulties, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, another point that I would like to share is the implementation of support service in Malaysia. To date, we have 13 special education service centers all over Malaysia offering support services. So these centers, they offer 4 major services, which are screening, intervention, rehabilitation, and consultation. Officers in special field are officers under the administration of MOE, that is Ministry of Education Malaysia, trained or qualified to carry out assessment, intervention, and consultation for students in the education setting. As for now, we have 34 officers in special field working in the service center. There are officers in different fields such as audiologists, speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, clinical psychologists, educational psychologists, psychotherapists, and also education interventionists. And with regard to pandemic COVID-19, the ministry has produced a therapy session implementation guide in the service center during the pandemic period. So this guideline has been disseminated and used in all service centers in Malaysia. So during the period of pandemic, the support services will continue with the compliance with the standard operating procedures, such as the first one, consultation are conducted over the telephone line. Second, limited client acceptance in ensuring compliance with physical distancing. Third, no group session. And fourth, information related to support services is also channeled through the Special Education Official Facebook. And last, preparing activity pack, which is based on stimulus activities such as guide to teachers, parents, or guardians to send students so that such support activities can be continued at home. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from giving support services, the service center also produce activity pack as references for parents or guardians apply basic therapy at home. So the activity packs comprise 11 simple and interesting activities such as ball games, paper and crayon, puppet, and building blocks. We need to enhance parents' knowledge on special education. Therefore, the ministry also provides the infographic that are uploaded in Special Education Division Facebook regularly. So you may go through our Facebook and you can see all the infographic with regard to the special education. Our main objective is to convey complex information on special education in a way that makes it relevant and easy to audience to digest and understand. As a conclusion, in response to the new norms during a time of crisis like COVID-19 pandemic, the ministry realized that there are more work need to be done. COVID-19 gives us experiences, challenges, and also lessons learned. In a nutshell, there should be a collective responsibility of government, teachers, parents, and caregivers to help send students receive proper education during the pandemic. So in order to ensure that systematic long-term solutions are provided, all factors that affect access to education, including policy, legislation, financing, human resources, and data, must be exposed. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end my session, I would like to say that we must regard this COVID-19 pandemic as a way forward to our education transformation. With that, thank you very much.